I know the meme is that everyone says women can't take accountability, but the female head of the Secret Service is really on fucking TV telling Americans that she's done nothing wrong and that it's not her fault that the fucking president got shot. That's your job. And any man in your position would stand up and take absolute accountability and say he was wrong and resign and admit his mistakes. You're standing up there going, well, that roof was sloped and it wasn't my job. Who gives these fucking people power? Who gives these people power? They have no fucking humility. The hubris they operate under is disgusting. And if President Trump was dead right now, there'd be a civil war undertaken in America. And she'd be sitting in her fucking chair on her fat ass saying, well, it wasn't my fault. I didn't do it. The roof was sloped. Who the fuck is this bimbo? Unbelievable. Let me tell you all the reality of female privilege. Because we're living in the time of female privilege, not male privilege. Because a lot is expected of men, and we're expected to perform. And if we do not perform, the world has no mercy. Women have no mercy on us when we fail to perform, and other men have no mercy on us when we fail to perform. Tell your wife you can't pay the bills. She'll be like, why? You're the husband. Pay the bills. It's your job. What do you mean you have no money? Go get some money then. Tell your boss you can't do the job anymore because you're sad. You get fired. But female privilege is being told they can do everything better than a man can do while getting endless benefit of the doubt every time they fail. If male Secret Service agents hid behind a bulletproof glass as opposed to jumping on the president, I would argue not only would they be fired and publicly shamed, we would know their names, we would know their records, we would know how they got into the Secret Service in the first place. They would likely be facing criminal charges. However, these women, we haven't been told who they are. Nobody knows their names. They're not going to lose their jobs. They'll continue to do security details, and we forgive them. We forgive them. If you're going to have the benefit of the doubt all the times you make mistakes, while also claim you're better than men at everything, then that is a huge cheat code to life. That's female privilege, because males are held ultimately accountable and females are not held accountable. Typically, when you're not held accountable for something, you're not given responsibility over it. Accountability and responsibility are linked. The reason you complain at the captain when the ship crashes is because he's responsible for what happens on the ship. He is accountable and responsible. If the captain gives orders and everyone on the ship ignores him, you cannot hold him accountable if the ship crashes because he wasn't responsible for the actions on the ship. Women get to go through life with no accountability. We're handing them responsibility because they want it, because they do it better than us. But if it goes wrong, I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl. Well, if you're just a girl, don't fly planes. If you're just a girl, don't be in the Secret Service. You can either do it or you can't. I don't know if the women themselves have been deluded into believing they can do it, and then when shit hits the fan, it turns out they can't. I don't know if they're psyoped also. But society as a whole will be better if we return to our roles. Men protect and provide, women nurture and care. This allows us to be more competitive. It allows everyone to be happier. There's not a female alive who's ever going to jump in front of a bullet for anybody. She's going to piss her panties and hide. And us pretending that she will is on us. That makes us dummies for psyoping these women into believing they would jump in front of bullets when they know they wouldn't, we know they wouldn't, and we're trying to please the diversity god. The diversity god in the sky, some brown mixed race motherfucker like me sitting down going, oh no, can't have white men protect Trump. Why not? Why not? They can do the job, can't they? Why can't we just go back to an era of competence and capability? Female privilege is everywhere. You see it all the time. Oh, I want to drive it. In my personal life, I want to drive this car. I want to fly plane, da da da. As soon as they make a mistake, oh, well, I'm a girl. You can't pull that card out if you want to do the hard shit. So I saw at Trump's next outing he has an all-male security team. I also noticed Putin has an all-male security team. I think we should stick to all-male security teams. Our security team's 25 deep. How many women work for us? 0. Because they can't protect us. So this diversity hire bullshit is getting out of control. And at risk of sounding misogynistic, women panic under pressure. That's what they do. Men don't panic under pressure as easily. So in a scenario where bullets might fly or planes might crash, etc., where pressure might appear, I think we'd all know deep down in our hearts that we want a man in charge.
can say whatever you want about Andrew Tate, but he's right about this, and I agree with him. There's another video of him talking about the female Secret Service agents, and I'm going to play that in a second. But first, I want to read y'all an article from CNN to show y'all what they think about the topic. In the days following the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump, the Secret Service charged with securing the Pennsylvania event has faced scrutiny for the extraordinary breach that led to the agency's worst failure in decades. But one narrative has quickly taken hold in the right-wing media ecosystem. The security failure was the result of workplace diversity incentives and women working as Secret Service agents. While the security lapse happened outside of the event's hard perimeter at a poorly secured building roughly 120 to 150 meters away from the stage, prominent right-wing figures have launched misogynistic attacks, blaming the female agent's position near Trump as well as the Secret Service director, Kimberly Chettle. So if the head director of the Secret Service fails at her job, you can't point that out or you're misogynistic.
That just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit.
In the seconds after shots rang out on Saturday, male and female agents positioned on stage with Trump sprang into action to protect the former president with their own bodies. But in a series of social media posts and television appearances, right-wing media pundits have targeted the female agents' response, claiming they lack the experience, size, and capability to handle the situation. Edited videos that garnered millions of views on social media as supposed evidence for female incompetence showed a female Secret Service agent seemingly struggling to holster her gun amid the chaotic scene as a group of agents escorted Trump to his motorcade. This is the supposedly edited video.
After Secret Service Barbie, a highly trained member of the Secret Service, removes her weapon from its holster for the very first time in her career. She struggles to return her pea shooter as though it's her first day on the job. Fortuitously, her skills from a previous life as an amateur actress come into play, allowing her to convincingly mimic the swift draw of the weapon and scan the horizon for threats. Chewing her gum nonchalantly, she attempts to exude a tactical demeanor, reminiscent of a fusion between the Blues Brothers and Rosie O'Donnell. Despite her efforts, our agent's attempt to return her wireless hole punch to its home results in another failure. While she may have faltered at this most basic of tasks, she certainly looked cool while doing it.
She clearly can't get her gun into the holster. And this is the best part. Women have been a part of the Secret Service since 1971. All agents, male or female, must meet the same standards to join the force, although the women candidates have different physical fitness requirements. That is quite literally the definition of not having the same standard. And it just makes no sense to me. You don't see the Dallas Cowboys lowering their physical fitness standards, so why would you be doing that for the protection of the potential president of the United States? There are roller coasters that if you're not tall enough to get on the ride, they don't lower the standards so that you can get on the ride. You're just not tall enough to get on the ride. So you mean to tell me that there are roller coasters that have stricter requirements than the agency that is supposedly responsible for protecting the president? That's crazy. Y'all have to understand. They just wrote a whole article saying that right-wing pundits were misogynistic for criticizing the lack of physical capabilities when it came to the female agents, but then later in the same article, they say that the physical fitness standards for the female agents is different. And for some reason, I get the feeling when they say different, they mean lower.
Shout out to every one of those motherfucking Secret Service agents who dives on top of Big Donald Trump. Respect to each and every one of you. That was some G shit.
They were too slow.
That's those guys. Oh, okay, fine. I mean,
they were too slow.
Yeah, okay, they were slow, but they still dived on top of him. One didn't. What did she have that was different from the rest of them? There was something different.
Supposedly.
There was something different between all the dudes who jumped on him and that one chick who didn't. What was it?
Well, here's the world we now live in. So I don't want to keep ranting about females, but the point is, we're now living in a world where they are forcing you to accept women at every level. And women are stuck in this very difficult conundrum, gentlemen. It's hard to be a chick, right? Because we're putting them into male spaces where they have to compete with men, where they can't. They can't Secret Service as good as a man. They can't do a job, no matter what it is, as good as a man.
Police, farm.
They build, you name it. They can't do anything as good as men, besides have kids. So forcing them into male spaces is actually unfair, because when you put a woman in a male space, she just becomes a short, emotional,
weak man.
Weak, usually broke man. By females' own standards that they hold for men they date, 99.9% of women are short, weak, and broke. So if they were men, they'd be hated by women themselves. So they can't compete with men directly, but they don't want to be excluded from the decimation they face by competing with men directly, because then they think that it's a patriarchy, it's unfair.
Yeah,
so they say, we want to do that too. And we say, guys, just let us do it. You just stay home and have kids. No, we want to do that. Cool. We're going to let you in with the men now. Then you lose. There's a reason you have to have your own sports. There's a reason you have to have all your own shit. Listen, I don't hate women. I'm just a realist. And these women shouldn't be in the fucking Secret Service. But like I said, we can't tell them that. It's the patriarchy. So we have to say, okay, come on, bimbos. And then we know they can't do it as well as men. They know they can't. Everyone knows it. But we're not supposed to say it. We have to sit there and go, she's just as good. She's a real fierce one as this chick.
She passed the training.
She's a real fierce chick.
She did 13 push-ups.
Fuck the patriarchy. Bruv. When shit hits the fan, she'll piss her little fucking panties and try and save herself above the president, as proved. You should be so drilled. Tristan, you and I probably train.
I can holster a gun.
We train firearms maybe twice a month.
And I can
we holster on point every time.
We holster, fire, and holster.
Your Secret Service.
Fucking bumbling Shrek-looking motherfucker.
What's going on?
Again, y'all, I gotta agree with Tate. Now, I wouldn't say it in the exact same words, but I gotta agree with Tate. The female head director of the Secret Service says that she wants to make the Secret Service 30% female by 2030. And I just can't fathom any reason you would ever do that unless it's just blatant sexism. Unless it's the DEI badge of just saying that the Secret Service is 30% female, I couldn't see why you would ever do that. There are just certain institutions in America that can't be compromised for the sake of making people feel better. When we're talking firefighters, police officers, military, Secret Service. These are jobs where you can't just slap black shades on a school teacher and tell her to go protect the president of the United States, because people's lives are at risk when we're talking about these institutions, when we're talking about these jobs. If you can't beat a 15-year-old in an arm wrestling match, you don't get to be in the Secret Service. And the Secret Service should be allowed to stand on their requirements. If a roller coaster at an amusement park can say you don't get on the ride unless you're this height or if you're too big, then why can't the Secret Service have the same strict requirements for what it takes to be a Secret Service agent? Why would you give somebody a job who's less capable for the job when you could give the job to somebody who's more capable? The only reason you would do that and compromise the institution is if you just have to hire 30% females for the sake of hiring 30% females. America has been living in a delusion that's become dangerous at this point. And if we don't snap out of this delusion and be a little bit more realistic, I'm not saying we gotta, level everything, but I'm saying let's just be a little bit more realistic, especially when it comes to these types of important institutions. We've been living in a delusion, and if we don't snap out of it, reality is really gonna hit us. Let me know in the comments below if this video was a W or an L, and give me the HBO special. That's a help brother out special. Hit the like and the subscribe button for more content. Till next time.